Today's Christmas Palooza, hosted by my friend Annie of Crafting with Indiana Jones. This collaboration is about all things Christmas. You'll find a link to Annie's channel in the description box, as well as a link to the playlist. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. I'm working with some new clay today, and we're going to make this cute wee snowman fella. Let's get into it. Pottreative sent me their pottery kit of air dry clay to give it a try, and I figured no time like the present, so let's see what we have in here. It comes in this nice sturdy box, and let's see. Right on top, there is a guide. Okay, let's take a look. It seems to be some basic information on what's included in the kit, and some tips on how to use everything. So that's cool. We've got 10 acrylic paint tubes here. Nice selection of colors. Ooh, a spray bottle. That always comes in handy. Very nice. A pottery sponge. A palette. Some base coat. I wonder if that's like a gesso. Gloss varnish. Okay. And this is a wee bag of tools to get you started. So just basic tools. That's cool. And we got 4 bags of clay and a couple of paint brushes. Right, so that's a pretty good setup. Let's try it out and see what we think. Okay, so right out of the gate, I can tell you that it's very heavy and much more dense than what I'm used to using. So I'm sure there's going to be a learning curve here. Now I've only used 3 or 4 types and brands of clay. So I would say this is probably, at least at the moment, closest to creative paper clay that I've used. But, you know, we'll see as we go, right? So let's condition it by kneading it and make it a little more pliable. I cut out some shapes from cardstock to make some ornaments. And my husband brought home this veneer plank. So this should be a good surface to work on, you know, because this clay is really sticky. And just in general, I think it's a good surface. I'll be able to wipe it clean. Anyway, I'm going to use these 2 diamond shapes to make some ornaments. So I needed this handful of clay, and I'm going to roll it out with my new rolling pin. I finally got one for myself. Ordered it on Amazon. Right. Let's see what we can do here. This clay is very wet and sticky. You can see it's already all over my hands, so that's kind of new to me. Anyway, let's just continue to work it. Okay, I'm going to spritz it a wee bit because, I don't know, parts of it are kind of dry. That's kind of weird to me, but let's do that and we'll get rolling. I'm going to roll this out a little thicker than I usually do because I feel like it'll make it easier to cut the shapes out and hopefully make them, you know, hardier, I guess. So I'm just going to keep rolling this out until I get a nice long length, long enough to cut out my shapes. Right, you can see I placed my cardstock shape on top, and I'm going to use my needle tool to outline it and cut it out. It's not quite as clean of a shape as I'd hoped for, but I'm sure I'll need an adjustment period working with this clay. It is quite different than what I'm used to. So, let's do another one. Yeah, the shape is kind of wonky, so I'm going to dampen my fingers to see if I can make these a little cleaner. I'm kind of jacking it up. Oh well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. This clay is actually much softer than what I'm used to, so I'm sure that takes some adjusting. I'll poke a hole in the top with my needle tool for the hangers, and I'm going to smooth that just a touch with a wet paintbrush. Now let's make our wee snowman character. So I am grabbing this handful of clay and I'm going to form it into a gumdrop shape to start. And you can see I'm just rolling it the same way I do with all the other clay I use. Yeah, that's pretty good, I guess, for starters. We'll go with that. I'm going to push this toothpick into the top. This will anchor his head when we make it. Hopefully this will stay nice and secure in there. But I think so. It looks pretty good so far. So this type of clay needs something called slip. It acts as glue. So slip is just bits of clay mixed with water to create a slurry. I'm just going to break up some clay, throw it in this little container, add a wee bit of water, and mix it up until I get my slurry. Now, I only know this because I watched a couple of pottery videos on YouTube to try to get some idea what it might be like to work with this clay. Now I'm just going to roll a wee ball here, size appropriate for his head. And now to make this stick, what I have to do is use a wire brush to add texture to the clay before adding the head. This is going to help the clay to adhere to itself. Once I get that done, I'm going to add a little bit of slip right on top of it. Now we're going to push the head on. He's going to need a wee stocking cap. So I'm taking another little bit of clay and I'm going to roll that into a cone shape. I forgot to do this when I added the head, so I'm going to spritz this with water, and I'm going to use one of my clay tools to kind of push the clay from his head onto his body to kind of, seal up that neck area. Just working it so that it's melted together. And I'm dampening my fingers and smoothing it a wee bit. And you can see I'm rolling over it with my brush handle. Again, that's just to smooth it. Before we pop his hat on, I'm going to use that wire brush and add a little texture there. See that? I almost forgot. There we go. I'm going to grab my paintbrush here and go over that area where the hat meets his head, add a little water, and roll over it to incorporate it, just like I would with any other clay. And hopefully this technique works with this type of clay. We'll see. I'm going to roll a bit of a snake from some more clay because we want to make his wee arms. I'm just going to do this same as I always do. Just roll them back and forth until I get the size and shape I want. Okay, I'm going to cut these in half and we'll pop them on. The clay is starting to dry a wee bit, so I am going to dampen it with just a little bit with my brush. Push the arm into place and hope for the best. I can tell you now it worked. I'll manipulate and smooth the clay in the same way as I did before. And then we're going to set this wee guy aside overnight to dry. Okay, so these sat overnight. They're totally dry. I picked up the one, immediately dropped it, and it broke. But this guy looks good. Anyway, we're just going to work on this guy. These other ones, I'm not happy with them. I'm sure that's an experience thing and possibly a skill set thing. But we'll just work on this guy for now. I'm going to give him a coat of the base coat that comes with the kit. Now, something to consider here, which I did not read the label prior, is that you need to wear gloves when you use this. Which, yeah, I'm not really into that. But if it gets on your skin, it tells you to wash it off immediately. Yeah, so be aware of that. Wear gloves. I was not aware of it until after I coated this guy. And also, you might want to refrain from using this with kids if that's the case. Base coat's dry, so now we're going to get painting. I'm going to use some Parsley green on his hat. I didn't use the paint that came with the kit because I'm following my own aesthetic here. So I'm just using the colors that I would normally use. This is Parsley Green by Ceramcoat. I'm going to do 2 coats on his hat, and I'm just painting him just like usual. I'm really excited about making a bunch of miniatures this year, more guys like this, because I like to put them in assemblages and just have them, on tiered trays and in little odd places. I think they're really cute. So I expect to see more of similar characters. His body is going to get 2 coats of my go-to red, Ceramcoat Watermelon. I don't think I mentioned this, but that base coat kind of has a shiny finish. And not that I guess that matters because I'm painting over it in a matte acrylic, but just thought I'd mention it. Oh, here he is. He's looking pretty cute so far. I'll dip dot his cheeks with Tropic Bay Blue, my favorite that's been discontinued. Wow. I'm going to dot his hat with white polka dots while we're waiting for those cheeks to dry. So just any old wear, get this hat dotted up. Watermelon dot for his nose. Boop. And right over his cheeks, I'm going to give him little arched eyes in Hippo Grey. Shout out to my girl Terry and her favorite color. I think the key to keeping these little vintage items is doing really simple shapes and faces. So we're nailing this. He's getting eyebrows too. And of course, a cute wee grin. There we go. Okay, the paint's dry, so now we're ready to give him a top coat. So, like I said, here's the varnish that comes with it. I don't want to use gloss, and I also don't want to put gloves on to use this. This also has the same warning to wash your hands if it gets on your skin, etc. So I'm just going to use MultiPurpose Sealer by DecoArt. I'm just going to pounce that on with a cosmetic sponge, as I usually do. And I did add white dot highlights to his nose, his cheeks, and I gave him a green button on his belly. And I think I gave that a white dot too. Now we're going to add his embellishments. Just going to do a little hot glue around his neck and add a gold pipe cleaner. Generally speaking, I don't use a whole lot of gold, but I feel like a lot of the vintage pieces do have gold in them. So I'm just using this Dollar Tree gold, what do you call these? Pipe cleaner, and gluing it around his neck, and I'll get some around his hat too. Yeah, I think that this gold pipe cleaner really does add that extra touch of vintage. You feel me? I made a little wreath for him to hold from green pipe cleaner. This is again from that same metallic pack from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue it right here in his hands. I added a star bead and a couple of ball beads to it, to jazz it up. We'll get it on there, and this wee guy is done. So let's take a final look. All in all, I think he turned out pretty cute. I really like him. The clay, there is a learning curve. I am definitely going to have to use it again to, up my skill set with it. It's definitely an adjustment compared to what I'm used to. I will say that the kit, it's got all the essentials for starter kit, so that's good. And it's around the $50 price point. You do get a lot of clay, and I think it's pretty comprehensive. So it's definitely up to you. I'm going to, in the future, be using more of this, so you'll probably see more projects with me using this clay. Hopefully, I get better at it. I hope you liked today's video. Be sure to check out Annie's channel and the playlist. Check back tomorrow, because me, Dawn, and Martina have another Christmas playlist for you. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.